Welcome back, it's review time. Here we go. I thought we were done with this, but she's floating in the air. It's review time. Sword and Fairy 6. A CRPG from China, made for the PlayStation 4. And boy, do I have a few gripes about this one. So sit back, relax, and here goes the show. Right off the bat, here we go. So as we're watching this video, you can see there's a whole lot of stuttering going on in the FMV sequence. I tell you, I haven't really seen anything this bad since like olden days of like PlayStation 2, something that wasn't even optimized. And really, in all honesty, I think that they could have done a lot better job in this. This beginning sequence too, all this where they're telling you of what's going on and everything, the background of the story about the 9 springs and everything that sets the backdrop for this game. It's just way too long. I couldn't get to the point where I watched it once. I had to restart the game over again at one point. I'll get back into that later on in the video, but I could just only sit through this once because it's just way too long. And you have to read the whole thing because all of the audio is in Chinese. So you have to read all the subtitles. The problem with most of the subtitles, poor choices of how they implemented them. When you have a background that's light gray, and we'll see this later on in the video, when you have a background that's light gray, you should not be using white lettering on the back. You can't see it. The Chinese audio is so fast and the subtitles go away so fast half the time that you can't even finish reading the whole thing. You have to be a speed reader to get through this. And especially on an RPG, that's bad. Now here they put an anime style sequence in here, and look how choppy this thing is. And mind you, I'm running this on my PlayStation 5, and this is bad. I mean, it looks good, the artwork is good, but it just stutters way too much, and it's way too dark. The colors and the presentation's way too dark. And if I would have adjusted my TV to show that cleaner, it would have been too bright for me to have during the game. Now here we go. If you look at the actual backgrounds, the backgrounds basically look like throwback PS2 backgrounds in this sequence. It's kind of muddy looking. The combat, forget it. It's very complicated. It's very frustrating. And it doesn't really give you the satisfaction of, let's just say, like a Final Fantasy or anything like that. But this sequence is to show you initially how the combat works. Alright, so I really didn't know what I was doing, so I hit a button. And boy, did I learn a lot from that. I hit one button, and that's it. And I got a battle victory. So that does absolutely nothing. I did not learn anything from that. Did not able to practice anything. Here we go with the stuttering again. We're going to see some weird artifacts in the background, some shimmering. In a generation, PlayStation 4, something this late in the generation. Here we go with the PS1 style turning. PS1 style animation when they walk. The backgrounds really don't have much detail. That tree in the background looks horrible. Again, it looks like they just did way back to PS2. And I don't know what kind of budget the studio runs on, but this is a 6th incarnation of this game, and for part 6 it should not look like this. Now you could see what I'm talking about right here. You cannot even see that, and the actual text disappeared so fast that you didn't even have a chance to read it. And I mean, there's just so many things, and this could have been so much better. And I started playing this, and I still didn't. Everything goes by. You can't even read that. Everything goes by so fast when they talk that you can't read anything. So you can't get what's going on in the story. You can't understand it. I know there's something about emissaries and a Neither Lord, but you can't learn the story if the text is going by too fast. And I checked all the settings, and there's no way to do that. I even turned off the speech on there. There was a setting in there. I turned off the speech, and that did absolutely nothing. The only thing I could say is I got this game cheap because it was on sale at the time, but I just don't know. I mean, it's just a stuttering mess. The animations are terrible when the cutscenes go off. There's a whole lot of stuttering that happens when the camera turns. I mean, I can go about this all day long, but all in all, I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot for a little while. I may do an updated video, but again, there's lettering you could not even see because it blends right into the background. Just a poor choice of coloring. If you're gonna do it like that, I would have done it in a box, or changed at least the color of the text. But it still doesn't matter because they don't even give you half the time to read it. And the backgrounds are there's just no detail in the backgrounds compared to it looks like a PlayStation 2 background. And not that the PlayStation 2 had a lot of bad games, but I would say a lot of them had more detail in the backgrounds. I mean, if you look at a game like God of War, I mean, granted that had a higher production budget than probably this by far, but the backgrounds were much better, much more detailed. I mean, everything about that game was epic. Between audio and everything. Now, the one thing I can say is I don't have the audio going in this game, but the music, the style of the music, yes, it does. It is good. That one thing I could say, it does set the mood, but there could have been so much more attention to detail paid on a lot of parts on this game. Okay, so here's what I was talking about the camera stutter. You can see as I pan around, every once in a while there's just a quick stop to the animation when you turn. The jumping animation's really weird in this too, but yeah, and there's not a lot of choice too with the colors. Everything so far in this area looks the same. So here's another cut scene. They basically go on and they're saying something about the guy here. Here's the funny looking lack of detail. The water definitely looked throwback to even PS1. You could see the lettering a little bit better in this, but it's still not enough to. It still blends in way too much. I mean, it's not legible half the time. And then it goes by so fast you can't read it. So I'm kind of disappointed at that. I wanted to give this game a shot just because of the fact that it is a CRPG as opposed to a traditional JRPG. here they're talking to that emissary guy, which I still don't have an idea what is going on. I know there's some sort of cult or something going on, and that's pretty much all I can gather. Having a lot of trouble understanding everything just because of the fact that the text goes by so fast. I mean, I think it would have served them better to have an English full translation than just subtitle it. I'm one of those people that have a problem too with watching anime that's strictly in Japanese and then having the subtitles. I'd rather watch it dubbed than subbed. So now here, this is actually the area when you go into the first dungeon, and that first dungeon is also a muddy mess. I mean, you'll see the area that I'm talking about. I mean, it's I don't know. I can go on and on about this, but I don't want to keep going bad about negative about this. I'll just let some of this play out, and then we'll let everybody make their judgment. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think about the way this looks, but I have a few issues with this. I mean, and again, I buy a lot of the PS2 games on that were redone for the PS4, that were upscaled, and some of them even look better than this. So here we go. Now I'm walking through. Now I see that hand up there. That hand means something, but I have no idea how to get to that thing. I'm assuming that it's something related to another one of the characters, because one of the characters actually has an ability where she can actually grab stuff and manipulate it, like kind of like a telekinesis thing. Oh, that floor looks terrible. That looks bad. It's a muddy, gritty mess. All the colors look the same too. Everything looks muted. There's not enough color in here. Definitely not. I mean, when you look at the sky looks decent, but everything else, here we go. Now we're starting to see some pops of color, some greens, but everything is gray, and the only thing that's in the background is the drapes and some trees and stuff, but everything kind of is very muted. Alright, going through. Alright, so here is the part. Let's see, this is the part right before the first dungeon, I believe. Hey, the load screens look better than the game. Go figure. Load times are pretty good. Alright, so there's the stuttering again. Now it only gives you like 5 seconds if you want to skip the cutscene. And if you miss that spot where it says skip the cutscenes by hitting the options button, if you don't do that, you gotta sit through the whole thing. That is very annoying too. There again goes with those old style textures and the old kind of stop and turn animation that the old PS2 games and PS1 games had. I mean, that looks throwback to Resident Evil, the first one. Not much of a palette going on with colors again, but I can get that because we're in the dungeon right now, so I can understand that. Yeah, that part right behind where you see that like green fire, that's the area I'm talking about, the first dungeon. The actual area with the first puzzle and everything. Soon we'll be able to see the actual battle system against actual enemies, not characters that are within your party. again, there goes the camera stutter. I don't understand how a game this late in the cycle just has this. Alright, so right there where you see that, like that, the top of the pagoda, this is the area I was talking about. There's that funky jump animation. Oh, and by the way, there's like no clean instructions on the button combinations, so I kind of had to play around with it and figure it out myself. First time I got into this area, which that's what I was talking about when I restarted the game. That meter up top, that's on the top left, that's like your special power meter, and I used it all. And if you look up top on the left, there's a plank up there. So as soon as I get this clip right here, mind over matter, so I'm going to switch over to her, and then I'm going to move this and hit myself on the head with it. Drag that over. Okay, looks like it's going to stretch across. Alright, so now I'm going to drop it. No, I missed that one. Boy, that wasn't that didn't land where I thought it was going to land, but here we go. I'm going to pull this back again. There you go, drop it right on my head. Let me walk back. Okay. Now I'm going to walk across. Yay, light as a feather. Okay, let's go. Alright, so let me show you a battle here. Yeah, it reminds me of Metal Gear. Alright, so this system is actually very complicated. I don't like it. There's two settings on here. There's real time, and then there's like a turn-based, and either one of them seem bad. So right now I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Everybody does what they want to do, but in here, if you look on the left hand side, there's a spot where you have the names, and you hit the L and the L1 and the R1, and then you could switch back, so you can pick your character on the left, and then when you go to the right, you could pick either to use a skill, to cancel it, or to execute. So when you go ahead and you go in here, you could pick, and you could chain different combinations together. That's kind of nice, the chaining part. The main problem I have with it is this is too complicated, because you got to go back and forth. Whereas instead of just having actual button combinations to do it, you actually have to pick it within the menu. And other games that I have played before, where you actually just have, where you go into a sub menu and you assign the actual skills to each button, and then you just hit, say, triangle, circle, square, and then you hit X to execute or something to that effect. To do that would have served it a lot easier in this game than having to pick, and then you have to read the skill. And even you could switch your strategy also. There's one where you can hit defense. There's one where you can attack diversity, a focused attack on particular enemies. So these ones on the left here, where you see where it says switch strategy, and then you have the 3, 4, you have the 5 right here, and then on the bottom you have auto battle. Auto battle, they'll battle for you, but you turn around and you could pick the actual skills that they use, and then they just do the rest for you, which again, it's just way too complicated. Did not like that too much. Like I said, I'm gonna give this game a chance for a little while, but again, it looks very dated. Right now it's just setting me off bad right now, and I think they could have just did better. There's that Metal Gear thing going on with the enemies. Well, that's gonna about wrap it up for my in-depth review on this game. Let me know what you think at the bottom in the comments. Sword and Fairy 6. Like I said, it has its issues. It's a mediocre game at best, but I'm going to give it some more time, play it through for a little bit, and let you know later on. Talk to you soon.